is up, alienARMy? I'm Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore, and on this channel we discuss everything out of this world. So today's topic, we are going to be talking about the planetary dignities in astrology, and this is going to be tropical astrology. So let's just jump right in. Now, you've heard of planets perhaps being exalted or in domicile or in fall or in detriment, but what does it really mean? When we're talking about astrology planets, of course the sun and the moon are not planets, they are celestial bodies, but just for the purpose of keeping this simple, we'll just lump them all together as planets. So first thing that we want to start off with is that the fall of a planet and the exaltation of a planet are always going to be opposites, okay? So when we're talking about opposites, we are going by opposite signs. So with the sun, for example, if we want to talk about fall and exaltation, an example of the opposites will be the sun is exalted in Aries. Now we're going to look for its fall, which is going to be the opposite sign, which is Libra. Now we're going to talk about domicile and detriment. So domicile and detriment will also be opposites. So domicile for the sun is Leo and detriment for the sun is Aquarius. Okay, so if you want to just have something really quick and simple to remember, we're going to remember the opposites. We're going to remember that fall and exaltation will always be opposites, and domicile and detriment will always be opposites. So let's get started first with the detriment and the fall, okay? Because a lot of people might get scared, they might get triggered. I don't know. I mean, it's 2021, anything goes, right? So first off, let's talk about detriment, okay? Because it sounds exactly as it is described. Detriment. Now, detriment is not negative. It simply means that the planet in detriment is not comfortable there and it doesn't express itself very easily. So let's look at the polarity of Aquarius and Leo, right? With the sun. The sun will be in domicile in Leo, so it's going to express itself very comfortably because it's at home. That's why when we tend to think of someone that has Leo sun, this is someone who is very open and forthcoming with their personality, right? They're exhibiting the traits of their sun quite easily, okay? So obviously people are going to say,
oh, but you know, with other things in the chart.
Let's just stop, okay? Humor me, all right? Typically, if we think of sun in Leo, we think of someone who is exuberant and impressing their personal energy of their personality on their environment, okay? So when we want to look at the opposite of that, detriment, which is the opposite sign of Leo, which is Aquarius, the sun here is not necessarily going to express itself in that open way, okay? Which is why sun in Aquarius placements tend to be more private, less forthcoming with how they display their personality to others. Whereas the sun in Leo, it's at home, so it feels comfortable. It's like, okay, yeah, this is me, motherfucker, now what, you know? Like, that's typical of like a Leo sun characteristic, whereas an Aquarius sun characteristic in detriment, the sun is a little bit uncomfortable there. It's like, like, I'm not really sure, like, do I want to turn on the radio? Do I want to like look in their cupboard for, you know, cereal or whatever the case? It's not really sure how to proceed because it's not in its home, it's in detriment. So the detriment is essentially like you just randomly are in a stranger's home and you feel a little bit uneasy because you don't know what you're going to find if you open up a drawer or if you open up a closet or whatever. So you're kind of proceeding with caution. So a planet that is in detriment, it proceeds with caution rather than putting everything of the characteristic on display. So now let's go with the fall. Now, the fall is similar to detriment because, again, the planet is not expressing itself comfortably. But here, it's not as though it's in a stranger's home and grasping around trying to figure out like how to proceed in that new environment. This is more where the placement will be somewhat watered down or weakened, and it's not going to be aware of the true power that it possesses when it's in fall, okay? So while detriment is a little bit uneasy and uncomfortable in the surroundings, in fall it's just clueless in its surrounding. It's like, whoa, what do I do? It's sort of like needs to be given an instruction manual regarding how to proceed in that area. Okay, so let's use another example. So fall for the sun is in Libra, and if we want to look at the exaltation for the sun, it's in Aries. Okay, so when we have a planet in fall, let's say sun in Libra, this is going to be a placement where the sun is unaware of its own strength in that sign, and it also has somewhat of a watered down effect, whereas sun in Aries is going to have an overly exaggerated effect, right? Because it's exalted, it's really pushed outward. In fall, the sun in Libra is going to be unaware of the characteristics that it is going to express. Okay, so it can be a powerful placement, something in fall, but it's just that the native is not aware of it because they're not expressing it through exuberance. They're expressing it somewhat hesitantly because they're not really sure how to navigate in that area. So if we want to go with exaltation, now I'll use the same example with the sun in Aries. Any planet, celestial body that is in exaltation is sort of like given a free pass, like a Jupiter pass. I don't know why that just came to mind, but there you go. It's sort of given like a free pass to display itself with gusto in that area. Okay, so with sun in Aries, the sun is exalted in Aries. This is why typically if we want to look at the textbook traits of a sun in Aries, this is someone who's extra, who's over the top, who's just projecting their own personality very, very viscerally and in your face. Whereas if we want to look at the fall of the sun in Libra, okay, it's not that sun in Libra is a weak placement, it's just that sun in Libra is not going to express itself in the way that in Aries is going to be straightforward, direct, right? Because that's exaltation. That's sort of like the guest of honor. I actually read that somewhere. I don't remember when, but it was a while ago. So it's sort of like planets in exaltation are like the guest of honor in the home. So it's like they could really do whatever they want. Okay, like free range. Whereas in fall, it's like the placement, it's uncertain. It's like, well, I know what I'm doing, but I'm not really entirely sure of what all of the strengths are that I possess. So with the fall of the sun in Libra, this is more of a bit of a sideways approach. Like it'll beat around the bush, it might go in circles, it won't be direct and forward in your face like the exaltation of the sun in Aries. Now, domicile, I figured I would just cover this, but I think a lot of us know what domicile is. It simply means that the planet celestial body is at home in that sign. And what this means is basically it's at home, it's very comfortable. It's not overly exuding the traits like the exaltation. It's not maneuvering uneasily because it's familiar with those surroundings. And it already knows of the strengths that it possesses, unlike the fall. Okay, so it's very comfortable, it's just sort of chilling. It's like, okay, this is what it is, you know. It's very down to earth. Like I think that's like the best way I can put it. When some placement, when a placement is in domicile, it's very down to earth. It's not guarded, it's not uneasy, it's not overly exuding the characteristics. It's just there, it's very comfortable. This is why if we want to go again with like the sun in Leo type of energy, okay, the sun at home in Leo is going to be like, well, this is me, this is who I am. Like it's very certain, it's very sure of itself. Just like we can say the moon is in domicile with Cancer, another celestial body. The moon is going to be, the moon in Cancer is going to be comfortable knowing how they feel. They're not going to be uncertain with knowing how they feel. They might be someone who is more comfortable than most in expressing their emotions just because they're at home. Like they will know what they are feeling. They are more often than not, more often than the other, going to know why they're feeling the way they do, whereas other placements might be a little uncertain of why they're feeling a particular way. Obviously, we can do this with all of the other celestial bodies and planets. We just want to remember that fall and exaltation will always be opposites, so look to the opposite sign. And then we want to remember that detriment and domicile will always be opposites, so look to the opposite sign. And we can apply this as well to houses too, because I find that, let's say if someone had the moon in the 4th house, they would be more comfortable even if their moon isn't in Cancer, let's say. Still going to be naturally more comfortable in that area. And obviously, if we go through fall, exaltation, detriment, and domicile, we can do this with the houses as well as the signs. So that was it for today's video. I am Oculus, the alien next door, and we will chit chat again soon.